this kidney stone wasn't going away because, my body was trying to tell me, like, there's something going on in you and we're not going to leave until you get this checked out. So they go to scan me to see how far this kidney stone is ready to fall out. And they come in the room with me and they say, we just want to let you know, we saw a breast lump on your scan. Most breast lumps are benign, but we just, we're going to give you information, everything that you need to know. So while I was out of the room, when they scanned me, of course, I missed the phone call from my OB, and she leaves me a voicemail, and she's like, "Hey, Kelly, it's Dr. Brichetti. Give me a call back." And so I'm like, "Oh, great. She sounds happy." I call her back, and she's like, you can tell that, like, her tune was changing. She was trying to find the right words to say to me.
Welcome to Breast Cancer Conversations, a podcast brought to you by SurvivingBreastCancer.org. I am Laura Carfing, breast cancer survivor and founder of SurvivingBreastCancer.org, a nonprofit organization providing community, education, and resources to empower those diagnosed with breast cancer and their caregivers from day one and beyond. Our podcasts are made possible thanks to our sponsors, Store My Tumor. Store My Tumor provides live tumor preservations and coordination of advanced diagnostics and personalized immunotherapies. Your preserved tumor contains the most important information about your cancer. So be sure to check out Store My Tumor and learn about their services. Thank you so much for supporting us. Today on Breast Cancer Conversations podcast, I am so excited to have Kelly Thomas on the show. Kelly and I have been emailing, texting, and could not wait to actually share stories. Kelly is funny, kind, and transparent about everything she has experienced with breast cancer. She has become a spokeswoman for triple-negative thrivers and a face I am sure you will recognize all over social media.
January 31st, 2018, I was diagnosed with stage 3C triple-negative breast cancer. 4 rounds of adriamycin cytoxin. I did 8 rounds of Taxol, and I did 4 rounds of carboplatin. My journey with triple negative is kind of interesting. So then I go to see my breast surgeon, who is like toughest lady you'll ever meet. Like, will always give it to you straight. And I go to see her, and she goes, "We'll see. Let's do this chemotherapy. I'm scared as shit, but let's do this thing."
Welcome to the conversation.
My name is Kelly Thomas. I'm from Jackson, New Jersey. What up, Jersey Shore? My handle on Instagram is TalkIsCheapXO.
You are triple-negative breast cancer, is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And I am actually, in my whole situation, I feel like my whole thing is gray because I'm not triple positive, and I'm like negative in some areas, but not all negative. So I feel like I was on like 5 different chemotherapies as like neoadjuvant chemotherapy to try and shrink the tumor. Mm. And then also on like the immunotherapies of like Herceptin that people are on for a year. And then I was also on like Perjeta and capecitabine and a couple other like after drugs.
Okay, all right.
Because my doctor...
So it sounds like you're both, though. Like,
I know.
Your regimen is triple negative and triple positive.
Best of all worlds right over here.
2 is better than 1.
For sure. So, and I think that's because I go back to like a year ago and I told my doctor, like, we got to be aggressive. I just agree with you. I trust you. I got a good care team. We got to be aggressive. But like, honestly, 2 years later, I'm like, I'm tired of being aggressive.
I know.
So that's kind of where I'm at. I feel like I have some lingo in all of the worlds, but like not a specialty in any of them. So I would love to hear your story. My understanding is that with triple negative, you don't have something similar because of the receptors do not necessarily respond to the hormonal drugs. So I would love from someone who's gone through it and understands like the technical terms for you to just like share and expound a little bit about triple negative so that our listeners can hear from someone who is in it and going through it.
Sure. January 31st, 2018, I was diagnosed with stage 3C triple negative breast cancer. Was kind of a shock to me because I don't have any family members with breast cancer. I do have cancer in my family, just not breast cancer.
Sure.
Triple negative, they basically test your tumor and they check for the 3 hormone receptors, HER2, progesterone, and estrogen.
Yeah.
So all of our tumors they don't show up on any of these scans. So, which makes it a lot harder. Triple negative is a very aggressive cancer, and it's also known, and I hate to say this, it's referred to as the kiss of death breast cancer.
It is?
Yes.
Oh, no.
If you Google kiss of death breast cancer, it'll say triple negative. Yeah, I just found that out recently.
That's like the worst hashtag ever. Like.
So, like, we have less options out there. We were kind of ignored from the pharmaceutical companies and a lot of research because there wasn't much hope for people like us. And I was told, like, geez, like, if you had this 20 years ago, like, just, plan out the rest of your life now.
Right.
The good news with triple negative is our cancer responds the best to neoadjuvant chemotherapy. So,
awesome.
So for a lot of the breast cancers out there, they will do like the surgery first. Most likely with triple negatives, we do chemo first, 16 rounds normally. And then we do the surgery, and then we do the radiation, depending on if it is advanced, if it's IDC, if it's in your lymph nodes, if it's gone anywhere else in your body. So I did that. I did 16 rounds of chemotherapy. I did 4 rounds of adriamycin cytoxin. I did 8 rounds of Taxol, and I did 4 rounds of carboplatin. Carboplatin is kind of interesting. So carboplatin is a drug that we use a lot. I talk to people all over the country, all over the world, and a lot of people in different countries don't get the carboplatin, or the doctors don't prescribe it. Carboplatin is a metallic-based chemotherapy. It's really hard on you. It's hard on your heart. It's a no mess around type of drug, but your oncologist will evaluate you and say, carboplatin can kill you, so to speak. But normally in a 30-year-old, they're like, we're not worried that, anything is going to happen. We would never give you anything that we think that would compromise your health. So I did that. My journey with triple negative is kind of interesting because I did the 16 rounds of chemo. The tumor started to shrink to the point that we couldn't feel it anymore.
Oh, that's awesome.
I went for my breast CT scan. I had it reviewed by my oncologist. He was so excited. He was like, complete response. It's all gone in your breast and your lymph nodes. It's nowhere. So then I go to see my breast surgeon, who is like toughest lady you'll ever meet. Like, will always give it to you straight. And I go to see her, and she goes, we'll see. I was like, well,
what?
You should be excited, She's like, we'll see. And would you know that she was absolutely correct? Because during surgery, they found nothing in the breasts, but in the lymph nodes, they found estrogen-positive cancer.
What?
So now I'm like a little weird with scans now. I'm like, all right, if I get scanned and it says one thing, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I go to see my oncologist. He literally, I knew what it said before he did. He's the kind of oncologist, and I love this about him. He doesn't know, he has so many patients that he doesn't have time to prep.
Of course.
So times when you're sitting with him is when he finds out. So I already knew what was there because the breast surgeon told me, and I see him, and he just looks at the paper, and he like turns like ghost white.
Oh my gosh, because he's thinking complete response here.
He's like, did they explain this to you? And I'm like, yeah. I cried my tears. Like, I'm ready to move on and go to the next thing. And I said, I love him. You follow me on Instagram, you know that I have a low-key, affair with my oncologist. But
don't we all?
He's very, very smart.
They're saving our lives.
He's very, very smart. And I said, how did this happen? He goes, okay, this happens to like 3% of cancer patients. You had a second mutation during chemotherapy. So which sounds crazy, you think you're getting chemotherapy, you're killing all the bad things. Not true. For the most part, it is true, but there's a small percentage that you could have a second mutation. So my triple negative cells actually fought back against the chemotherapy and mutated. Some of the cells mutated into estrogen positive. So it was able to dodge the chemo and start to grow.
And become something else. Like, okay.
But the positives are, they say estrogen positive cancer is the good breast cancer because it grows so slow. So that was, that was like the good thing about all this. And so for that, that was before I did radiation. So then I did my fills, did my radiation. When radiation was done, they put me on a drug called Xeloda.
Yeah.
Yes. So Xeloda is...
Wait, like cancer twin over here.
Yeah. Xeloda is that new drug that triple negatives most likely will get if there's residual cancer found after surgery. Or if your cancer went to your lymph nodes, you would get this as well. Pretty much the only drug that is available to us as triple negatives, and the only thing that we really have like to hold on to, because usually it's like, they treat the cancer, they get rid of the cancer, and then you just become like a ticking clock, and you're just watched and watched and watched, because yes, our cancer is aggressive, and it's most likely to come back. And if it is most likely to come back, it's most likely to metastasize to our lungs, our bones, our brain, and it's very scary. So, although it is considered a chemotherapy drug, it's a lot better than the IV chemo. And, it's awesome that we able to have a drug for us, but because before we didn't have anything. And, it's only a 6-month drug, but, it's interesting. Like it's a stage 4 drug actually. So triple negatives get it, and, stage 4 colon cancer patients get it. And now from, networking with so many people on Instagram, I'm finding out that all different types of breast cancers are getting it now. You don't have to be triple negative to get Xeloda.
And that was my experience too. So I did not have a complete response either after my adjuvant or neoadjuvant chemotherapy, and my oncologist was super excited, thinking it was shrinking, and I had a really good opportunity here. And it came back with not 100% complete response rate, and there was residual. And I thought that was really hard to take in, because I remember breaking down in the oncology room, right, when they're giving me my pathology report, and they were just saying, because there's residual, it doesn't mean that you still have cancer. They were still trying to convince me that there's no evidence of disease, right? They don't like to use the terms cancer-free, but they would use like NED, like no evidence of disease. But because the chemotherapy did not kill all of the cancer in your tumor cells, there's probably at like a microscopic level that can't be picked up, that there's a potential of, more cancer living in our bodies. And so the same thing, I had radiation as well, and then I was given Xeloda for 6 months. And it wasn't the IV, it was a pill that we took every day. And I remember my hands, I had the reactions where my hands turned really red and my feet turned really red, and it was so painful to like touch and walk and stand. I don't know if you had any like side effects to the Xeloda.
So interesting. So we started the Xeloda it must have been March. It was like February, March. And I actually was going to the Miami Breast Cancer Conference with my oncologist.
Okay.
And I just so happened to start Xeloda that week. And it's like, there's like so many rules that you read with Xeloda. You know, it's like you have to wear comfortable shoes, no flip flops, no heels. You have to put special lotion on your hands and your feet, and you know, do all these things. And I'm like, I'm in Miami. I am not wearing sneakers. I'm wearing all the heels, and I'm wearing all the flip flops, and I'll be damned if you try to stop me.
Sure.
And I'm like, worst comes to worst, my oncologist is going to be at the resort with me. I'm going to find him, and he's going to fix me.
For sure.
But I never, so interesting, I never had any issues with my hands, like not even with Taxol.
Mm-hmm.
I had neuropathy in my feet,
Mm-hmm.
but I never had anything in my hands. I did eventually lose my fingerprints on my hands.
Me too. I could not open my phone.
No.
I was like...
Well, thank God. Right before, what was it? After I got my mastectomy, my phone started crapping out on me. So I got the facial recognition phone, and I was like, oh, thank God I did.
Oh, my God. I remember. I was like, oh, my God, this is so not, like, user accessible. Where's the ADA? Like, this, I can't, like, get into my phone. This is... Yeah. I didn't realize you would lose your fingerprints.
Like, I was wearing like brand new flip flops, and I was like, "Is it the shoes? Is it me? I don't know what's going on." And I'm walking, and it feels like I'm walking on hot coals.
Mm-hmm.
And we started out with 3 and 3, so it was 3,000 milligrams a day, 1,500 in the morning, 1,500 at night. My oncologist had me on a very strict schedule with him. Every 2 weeks, I had to see him and review. And he's, you know, I wrote down, I had a whole journal planner, and I wrote down what I ate that day for breakfast. I wrote down any kind of symptoms I had. And he decided, well, actually, I thought originally it was worse than IV chemo, because at least with IV chemo, the chemo goes right into your bloodstream. With this, it has to go through your digestive tract, and then it gets into your bloodstream, and so it gives you stomach pains, it gives you diarrhea, it gives you hands and foot syndrome, and all that, and you know, potentially nausea and all that. And it felt like I ate razor blades.
Yeah.
And I told them that. I said I felt like I ate razor blades, and my stomach, it almost sounded like my stomach was screaming.
Mm-hmm.
And, but it helps you lose weight, so it's a wonderful little drug.
After everything we've been through and all the steroids and the weight gain.
Let's find the silver linings, okay?
For sure. Oh my God. I remember going, because I was back to work at this time too. So I'm like, you know, taking Xeloda every day. I think I was on a regimen of like...
I can't imagine.
Oh,
I can't imagine.
There was one day I was so uncomfortable, and thank God the women in my office have like all had like gone through like labor and pregnancies, so like they're walking around in their flip flops and they understand like what swollen joints are and everything, and I'm like,
yeah,
this is me. I am straight up showing up in my boyfriend's gym shoes because I needed like a size 10 or 12 or something, because I was like, I'm so swollen and I'm in so much pain, like I need to get to work. And I look ridiculous. Like, fashion is out.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's exhausting.
Yes. Yeah.
It will hit me like a ton of bricks, and I'll be like, I'm just waiting for it to pass.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
But I'm lucky to have a very great oncologist that lowered my dosage from 3,000 to 2,000, because everyone's different. Everyone is different heights and weights. And I think, like, if you have a good oncologist, they will adjust you and find what dosage makes sense for you. Right. We dropped it to 2,000, and the feet paint went away. Sometimes they would peel, sometimes they wouldn't. My biggest complaint was the extreme fatigue.
Yeah.
And when you look at everything that you dealt with, it's like small potatoes, you know? But I come across a lot of girls that are like, oh, my oncologist is upping it, or I have to, and I'm like,
wow,
mind blown. Like, and I actually just had a conversation with my oncologist, and I was like, can we talk oncology for a second? And I was telling him, and he was like, what?
Wow.
People are being raised to 2,000, was it 4,000, 5,000?
Oh my gosh.
And
having all these symptoms too.
Yeah, well, like terrible, and they're miserable. And one of my girlfriends, her toenails are falling off; they're turning black, and it's like my oncologist is all about quality of life.
That's
so
awesome.
He's not gonna make you miserable. What I loved the most about being at Miami Breast was you're there with the smartest oncologists in the country, and there's thousands of them, and so. I was there with Nally Augustin and Stephanie Stephen.
Yes. And, I'm so jealous. I think I was watching you guys on like your Instagram lives and everything.
It was so much fun. Stephanie is amazing. She was the patient keynote speaker, and she totally killed it. And then there was like a few parties that we attended, and we got to like rack the brains of these incredible oncologists, which was nice because so often we have our one oncologist that we always go to. And so we're going to go by what he or she says. And so I got to talk to these other oncologists, like, what do you think about this? They were all in agreement because they were all, they're all great oncologists.
Yeah.
The biggest thing, and I say this to people all the time that I've learned from these oncologists was when it comes to Xeloda, because I see so many people suffering, there's no such thing as ideal dose. The fact that whether someone takes 3,000 milligrams and they're fine, or someone takes 2,000 milligrams and they're fine, people think like, I need to suffer through these symptoms because it's going to fight my recurrence. If you're taking any sample of the drug, you're reaping all the benefits. So you don't want to torture yourself for 6 months. I'm lucky that I'm still on disability and I'm not working, but like, I talk to so many people who are like, oh, I'm back to work on Xeloda. And I'm like, how? And you're taking higher dosages than I am.
Right.
So kudos to you.
Yeah. That's a really important point that you're making too, is that like everyone's height and body weight and quality of life play a factor into that conversation, especially when it comes into like the aftermath of treatment. Like if we need to be on these drugs for like X amount of time or so many years or whatever we're on, it really does become a question. Like, it's not black and white, right? It's like a discussion of like what you can tolerate and what's sustainable.
I might go on tamoxifen, which I hope I don't, because they took 8 of my lymph nodes out. 2 of them had estrogen in them, but it was a weak estrogen.
Okay.
So my oncologist was like, I don't want to, but I might. I haven't made that decision yet. And what I love about him is that he's always reading about some medical journal. He's always up to date on what's going on. And he's like, this one doctor that I follow says, I don't care how my patient's cancer either mutates or comes back. If they get any type of cancer grown in them, I'm going to treat them for everything, whether it's at 100% or at 2%.
Exactly.
So he's like, you're a triple negative in every single way. He's like, you're 99.9 triple negative, and that, so, and from what I learned about the whole tamoxifen is because you can either be on it for 5 or 10 years. Like, if you have high risk of recurrence with estrogen cancer, then you'll get the 10-year one. But like, I don't want to be on this. I read all the terrible stories and the hot flashes and, getting fat. Like, listen, I was overweight at diagnosis. I gained 13 pounds during chemotherapy. I took Xeloda to lose it all. I am not getting this shit back.
I love you. Oh my God. Yeah. So I was on the same ACT treatment as you were initially. And then I was also on Herceptin for a year and then Perjeta. And then also like the capecitabine or the Xeloda.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting, it's not chemotherapy. It's like some other drip IV that I get every couple months for osteoporosis called, there's Xeloda that we took, which was the oral pill. Then there's Zometa.
We're aging so gracefully, aren't we?
Dude, I'm like straight up like 80. Like I am so unattractive on the inside.
I can't.
But so I wanted to ask. You mentioned you were stage 3C. Can you define that for us?
So stage 3C. So basically it goes into how many lymph nodes were affected.
Okay.
So, and from what I learned was, I thought when they do surgery, they can count them. And from what I've been taught from my oncologist, he was like, no, we don't really know how many. We just, we see what's affected and we estimate. So they said I had at least 10 or more lymph nodes affected.
Wow.
So my breast cancer was really weird. So I had 5 tumors. I had 2 in my left breast and 3 in my armpit area.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Did they do the full node dissection on you? Like the full axillary?
The full axillary pocket dissection. Yeah, yes. Everything's out. And it's so weird. I always wanted to ask the audience this one question, but I don't sweat on that side. So I don't know if is that a thing?
I don't either. I'm like, can you do this one too? Like, can you do this side?
I was thinking, I was like, well, I'm going to save a ton of money on deodorant. But did they cut my sweat glands by accident?
And I don't grow hair on that side either.
It's not as bad.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit, but it's not as bad.
It's like peach fuzzy.
But oh my God, that makes me feel good that because everyone else, but you had full dissection, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I think it's only people, because everyone else I talked to, they were like, oh no, I had 2 or 3 removes. And I was like,
right.
The hell with you.
Yeah.
I need to find someone like me.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I was just like, well, maybe I'm lucky. What's going on with this other side?
Like, I have so much deodorant now because I'm only doing one armpit.
Love it. Yeah, the perks, the silver lining. Absolutely. Now,
oh my God.
Like, you don't suffer from lymphedema, or are you going to, massage or anything? No, you're good.
Well, first of all, don't call the devil.
No.
Because we could get lymphedema any day, any 5 years down the road or whatever. So, something kind of interesting happened to me after my surgery. As soon as I had the surgery done, I had this weird, hard flap right on the left side, on my cancer side. And I, you get to the part where you're flat before you get your fills, and you could see it in shirts. So you have to, I had a nipple sparing mastectomy, so I had to always wear some kind of bra. But
can I just stop you there? Can I ask you a quick question about that, since
Sure.
you brought up the sweat thing? Someone else asked me recently, with a nipple sparing mastectomy or lumpectomy or whatever nipple sparing procedure you're getting through, are your nipples always hard?
No.
Okay. So
no, because sometimes sometimes this is the real conversation when your viewers wanna see. Wanna hear about. This one more than that one, but yet I still have my expanders in. Mm-hmm. I don't really see my nipples. I can't see them. Right. Unless they're a little bit hard, but it's different hardness. Yeah. And obviously there's no sensation there at all,
right. Right.
And, nipples honestly are overrated. So,
I totally agree. I'm
because if I wear something without a bra, then I have to put my nipple shield, my nipple covers on, or this thing. And sometimes you could see there's just a round circle around the middle of my chest. Or, of course, I'm the only one that sees it, but it's just ugh.
Yes.
Should have just took them off anyway.
Right. Get the tattoos. Yeah.
But yeah, I got this weird hard area on this side. And I went to PT to, just move my arms a little bit. And they were like, sometimes this happens on the cancer side during surgery. It's just she explained it to me. It was an adhesion.
And what's an adhesion?
Yeah, it's like a skin adhesion thing, and it's hard.
Okay. It's
hard if you touch it. So, I showed my plastic surgeon, and he goes, I can get rid of it when we do our next surgery. I can liposuction that, cut that out, whatever it is. So it's just the fact of living with it now. But yeah. I had to, so he actually sent me for lymphatic massage because he knew I was going to have radiation, and he wanted to, really smooth make this as soft as possible. And that was absolutely great. Lymphatic massage is wonderful. If anyone is having a mastectomy and, you know, you're going to get radiation or you're not going to get radiation, you know, have your doctor ask you for a script to get a lymphatic massage from a physical therapist. And they actually made a lot of the area very soft because with radiation could make it really hard.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so you know, I do the I got measured for a sleeve. I wear my Lymphedema sleeve when I'm like on a plane or anything like that. But you know, hopefully, no lymphedema over here.
No, that's awesome. So same thing. So I was very nervous about lymphedema. I have like a very mild case of it now. I don't know.
Okay.
Like I know there's always a risk of getting it. So I feel like we're either.
Does it feel heavy?
It definitely felt heavy.
Okay.
And I know that like the video probably doesn't like show, but like this hand is so much puffier than like my other hand where you can see veins. And here, like you really can't see.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
the veins.
I see what you're talking about.
And you're like, wow, like
you can't like,
isn't that weird?
In your hands.
Yeah, totally weird. So I was like, oh my god, I'm getting fat. Like I'm already like bloated from the steroids, and like now I'm like getting into like my jacket. I'm like, what's up with the left side, guys? Like, it's annoying. But in all seriousness, like, so I did go see a physical therapist as well. I got a prescription to see one, and you know, going once or twice a week to just have the lymphatic massage was
drainage.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And even I think women, I mean, anyone should really get it to help the lymph nodes move, because I feel like fantastic walking out of there. Like everything is moving, the digestion is better.
It's like a massage.
Yes.
Hello, you know what I mean? It's great. It's great,
And mine is a little bit more on the severe side, so I do a certain wrapping in the evening at night. So I have bandages that I wrap to kind of help with the compression. And I am technically supposed to wear the lymphedema sleeve like 24/7, not 24/7, during the day, and then not when I sleep. But in the summertime, to be like completely honest, like it is so hot and it does not breathe.
No.
So we'll see. But like, I don't know, it's just annoying that like in terms of like jewelry and aesthetics and like even hair bands, you're like, okay, I can't do anything on the side or like put my purse on the side. But I mean, I'm managing.
Is that the cancer side?
It is, yeah. And so the side that I also like got the lymph nodes removed and the radiation.
How soon did it happen in terms of your treatment?
About a year later.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I don't know what I did, or if I did something, or if I was just predestined. Who knows? Because I was doing well for a while.
Has anyone ever talked to you about lymph node transfer surgery? I
recently just heard about this. I know that a couple people here in the Boston area had that type of procedure done at a hospital. Oh my God, Beth Israel Hospital. I know not everyone does this type of surgery, but tell me about it.
My plastic surgeon is actually one of the few doctors in the country that is certified in this lymph node transfer surgery, which kind of, for me, gives me peace of mind, because not only is he my plastic surgeon, but God forbid something like this happens, I'm going to see him immediately.
Yeah, that's a really smart idea. And I didn't realize also, and I'm not an expert on this, but I heard that there's also like phases, like stage 1 through 4 of lymphedema. So I'm at like stage 1, very minor, totally treatable, not curable because it's not curable, but like manageable, right? So as long as I do like the massage therapist taught me like at home techniques that I could be doing, should be doing, and you know, plus like with the compression sleeve and then the wrapping at night. So, you know, I just add it to like my brushing the teeth and the flossing, and like the whole bedtime routine is now like a straight up half hour. But, you know, we're doing well.
Oh, yeah. No, there's like a few, hold on. All right. Now the video just froze for a second. I know there's a few people that, you know, they have to do the wrapping, or, you know, they have like it almost looks like a space suit on their arm for the lymphedema, those, whatever they have to do for it. But, me and my plastic surgeon actually had a video. We recorded a video in March for Lymphedema Awareness Month.
Awesome.
And he just goes over different things with lymphedema. And most important thing with lymphedema, if you do contract it, get treatment right away, because then you'll be able to, it might become more manageable than if you were to ignore that you had it. It could get, it could escalate and get worse.
Exactly. And that's what I asked my massage therapist also about was, I have this fear of like, oh my God, am I just going to wake up one day and have the arm look like an elephant trunk leg or something, right?
Yeah,
like,
I know. You go straight to the Google images.
Yes.
And it's like the worst case scenario pops up for you.
Yeah, I'm a little puffy, like, oh my God, what if? And she's like, no, Laura, like, you're doing everything right. And she reassured me that, like, as long as I'm seeing her and taking proactive treatments, just like you said, that we're not letting it get out of control, then there's really nothing to worry about. So that's a really nice peace of mind to know exactly what you said. Like, don't ignore the symptoms and then manage it.
I was a partner of American Cancer Society for years through my company, and I would work their financial tent. So we would take in all the deposits and donations, and we'd add them up and do all these different things. And I did that every single year, and it was always something so fulfilling to me. I didn't know these women that were affected by cancer, but every time I would drive down there, park my car, and I'd see their pink wigs and I'd see their pink capes, I always got so emotional, and I just felt like I was helping out this group of people that, it was so good to, give back.
Yes.
Never did I ever think I would be one of them.
Right.
I was an avid, I went to all my doctor's appointments. I saw my medical doctor all the time. I went to see my OBGYN. I hated going to see the OBGYN, but, you just go and do it. They tell you to check your breasts every month, and I did, and I never felt anything. And one day I sat on the couch, and I folded my arms like this, and I was like, that feels like a golf ball. And I felt this side and didn't feel anything. And I immediately go into, panic mode. And I'm thinking about the American Cancer Society. And I was like, it's breast cancer. It's breast cancer. I'm freaking out. And, I made an appointment to see my OB. And she was like, I definitely feel something. It's questionable. It's probably a benign fibroid, but, let's check it out. And I love my OB. She's, the reason why I'm with such a stellar medical team.
Yeah.
And, she wasn't one of those people that was like, you're 33, it's nothing, it's fine, So, they check it out, and, I still remember like feeling like super confident going in there, but as soon as you put that gown on, it all races. I still remember walking through the door, and they were like, what are you here for? I'm like, I'm here for a mammogram. They're like, you're so young. Like, you don't need a mammogram. But there goes that stigma that young women don't get breast cancer, right?
Yes, exactly.
And they were like, they're doing the mammo, and they're squishing your boobs in this thing, and it's uncomfortable. And I'm trying not to hold back tears. Like, I'm crying so hard. You ever like, you let out that good cry, but there's like people around you.
Yes.
And I'm really trying to like compose myself, be strong. And they're like, the doctor doesn't like what he's looking at. And I'm like, I'm losing it. And I was just like, the heck with this. I'm just gonna, I'm just crying it out. They send me directly across the hall to ultrasound. And I'm like looking at it on the screen. It's like very, very dark thing that they're zooming in on. And the doctor comes in, and he's like, oh, don't worry, that's breast cancer. It's totally treatable these days. And I'm like, what? And he was like, my mother had breast cancer. It came back 7 years later, but she's got great quality of life. And And I was like, why are we using the C word? Like, maybe it's not. And then I remember the tech goes, they're like, all right, look at the screen. 1, 2, raise your arm. 3, 4, 5. And I'm like,
they were counting out loud, like watching, like what?
They were showing me all the tumors that were there.
God.
And he goes, well, whatever this is, it needs to go. We need to cut this thing out.
Yeah.
And, I went to the appointment by myself, and I never had surgery before. So I was like kind of anxious, like, oh, they want to cut these weird things out of me. And, when I found my lump, it hurt.
Right.
So immediately we go to Google and we ask Google, do breast cancer lumps hurt? And what does it say? No. And I'm like, okay, that makes me feel good. You won't get breast cancer if it's not in your family. Right. All right, great. And this thing was killing me. Like, I would randomly be driving down the road and I'd just be like, like it was like stabbing pain. And so, what was it? Most people know that I named my largest tumor. His name is Larry. Because he is the star of the show, and to be honest with you, he needs a name. And my mother would be like, Larry doesn't like getting his picture taken. So that was like the big joke, because whenever like I would get like a wand on him, or I would get some kind of a scan, he would hurt so badly. But and it's actually kind of interesting. So what was really, I actually had a kidney stone at the same time that I found this breast lump. It was my second kidney stone in my life.
It sounds terrible.
This bugger did not want to leave. He was in there for like over a month and a half. And, I was going to a urologist, and I'm like at work, and I'm in so much pain, and I'm like, I need to go to the hospital. I need to, see, so I go to the hospital close to my job. That just so happens to be the day I was supposed to find out my biopsy result.
Oh my God.
And something tells me that like maybe this kidney stone wasn't going away, because, my body was trying to tell me, like, there's something going on in you, and we're not going to leave until you get this checked out. So they go to scan me to see how far this kidney stone is ready to fall out. And they come in the room with me, and they say, we just want to let you know, we saw a breast lump on your scan. Most breast lumps are benign, but we just, we're going to give you information, everything that you need to know. So while I was out of the room when they scanned me, of course, I missed the phone call from my OB, and she leaves me a voicemail, and she's like, hey, Kelly, it's Dr. Brichetti, give me a call back. And so I'm like, oh, great, she sounds happy. I call her back, and she's like, you can tell that, like, her tune was changing. She was trying to find the right words to say to me, and she's like, it came back positive. And I'm like, what? He's like, you have a form of breast cancer, and you need to get checked out immediately. And I'm thinking, what? And I'm like, am I going to die? And she's like, you need to see a breast surgeon. I'm like, am I going to be okay? You need to see a breast surgeon immediately. And I'm like, oh my God. And she goes, I know a great breast surgeon. I already made the appointment for you. I hope you're not mad at me. And I'm like, oh, how could I be mad at you for something like that? So that's how I met my breast surgeon now. And I was always supposed to be with my oncologist that I see right now, Dr. Cohen. But he was away in Israel. So I remember my breast surgeon was like, you need to see a doctor right now. You needed chemotherapy like 6 months ago. Like, this is like, we don't have a lot of time, Kelly. And I'm like in the room with my mother and my husband thinking, I'm going to die. This disease is going to end up killing me. Even though I was such a proactive person that went to the doctor and I did everything they was told me to do. Like, I got this wrong. And they told me I needed to do the port surgery, and they asked me, like, do you have any children? I said, no, I don't have any children. And they were like, well, we have to ask you if you want to do egg retrieval. You don't have time to do egg retrieval, but we need to ask you. And me and my husband, we've been married for 7 years now, and the thought of kids wasn't never on the top agenda. It was like, I married my husband because I loved him. I didn't marry him to have a family with him. And, you know, if we did have children, then, you know, we did. Like whatever however our life was going to play out, that's what we were going to do. And first and foremost, I want to live. How can I be a mother if I'm dead? So, you know, I don't want to do the egg retrieval. I can't do the egg retrieval. It's fine. It's all fine. Throw this port in me. Let's do this chemotherapy. I'm scared as shit, but let's do this thing. And Dr. Cohen, who is like well-known doctor in Central Jersey, he was in Israel, so I had to see his partner. So I go meet with his partner, very, very smart. I'll never take that away from him. And he explains to me, goes, you have something called triple negative breast cancer, and and this is the treatment, and I just want to let you know that people die from what you have. And I'm like, what? And I was kind of like shocked, because I was like, you know, I thought breast cancer was like, you know, I didn't know anyone that died from it. I know a lot of women that have had it and they're still around. So I was like, well, maybe it'll be one of those things that you just have to treat it, and, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, I'm 33, and I still remember I reached over the desk and I grabbed him by his wrist and I said, you're not going to let me die. And he goes, I'll try my best. I'm like, try your best? No, I'm going to need more than that. Long story short, we got rid of this dude because he was screwing up everything. He screwed up my nausea meds. He didn't send me my numbing cream. He wasn't returning phone calls. I remember, you know, I had such a good memory. I was a bank manager, and I had to remember all sorts of things, and I never had to write anything down. And once someone tells you have cancer, all that just kind of, for pre-chemo brain, pre-chemo anything, your memory is just like everything goes in one ear and out the other.
Exactly.
And, you know, no, I couldn't have, I didn't want this guy on my team, and I didn't feel good about him. And when Cohen came back, I actually fired my oncologist on my first day of chemotherapy. And would you believe, all right, the plot thickens. Would you believe that he came to my first chemotherapy to confront me on switching doctors? He waited for my nurse to leave the room. He walks in. Mind you, my husband's sitting with me, but he didn't care. Sure. He pulls up the chair next to me and goes, so I heard you're going to Cohen. And he's like, why is that? And I'm like, are you confronting a cancer patient, like, at their first chemotherapy? And he said whatever he said, and then he, like, left. And my nurse came in, and she goes, I've been doing this for 25 years. Never in my mind did I ever see or hear of a doctor standing outside our door, listening to us, waiting for me to leave to confront a patient.
Wow.
But, you know, I think through all of this and all the feelings that I felt, it made everything come full circle for me. And I appreciate my oncologist so much more, because I went from people die from what you have till, you know, I'm going to knock this out of the park.
Yes.
Like, my oncologist was like, he's not the most, he believes that if positivity will help heal you. And I do kind of agree with him. Yeah. So, like, he'll sugarcoat you a little bit. Like, for the longest time, I didn't know what stage I was. It's like my breast surgeon was like, you're stage 3. Mm-hmm. And he was like, you're at least 2, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to get rid of it. It doesn't matter what stage you are.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, I'm 3. Am I 3A? Am I early 3? Mm-hmm. And then, you know, literally did all the chemo, did the surgery, did the fills, did the radiation, got my survivorship papers, and it was like 3C. And I was like, I knew it. Those bastards. You know? But, you know, his heart was in the right place.
Yeah. Oh my God. What a story.
It's been
Kelly.
it's been a trip. It's been a ride. I mean, and we'll still riding this wave.
Yeah,
you know?
no, of
It's,
course.
you know?
Yeah. But I think, I mean, to everyone like listening and watching, it's like you have to have that rapport. Like, you know in your gut at the end of the day, like, we're going through hell and back. It's not going to be easy, and you need someone that you can trust. And I remember, like, it was interesting too because I'm not originally from Boston, but like the stars aligned and I'm in Boston and I got diagnosed with breast cancer. Again, similarly with like access to some of the best renowned doctors in the world. And I chose my oncologist.
Yeah, Dana-Farber is the hospital. It's
Yes.
supposed to be like really awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely. But I actually went to Tufts Medical, which is interesting because everyone's like, oh, are you going to Dana? Are you going to Dana? And I'm like, no, guys, like, I chose my crew. Like, I love my crew. Like, we're on the same page. And I did not get second or third opinions. Like, I knew when I walked in that,
Same.
like, this was it. It's amazing how people try and persuade you. People emailed me, like, recommendations of doctors. I'm like, that's not actually helpful. Like, I made a decision, guys.
I need you to stay in your lane.
Yes.
But I appreciate it. It's so funny that you talk about everyone's expected you to go to this big hospital. Same story. Like, we're like diagnosis twins over here, I feel like. Because I'm in Central Jersey. So I'm an hour from Philadelphia and New York City.
Yeah.
When you think New York City, you think Sloan Kettering.
Sure.
So everyone was like, oh, you need to go to Sloan Kettering. You need to go to Sloan Kettering. And I'm a pretty good judge of character where, you know, I met my breast surgeon. I really liked her. I thought she was scary and terrifying, but I knew she knew her stuff.
Exactly.
And my sister-in-law is like, I know someone that had breast cancer. You know, everyone's like, I know someone that had breast cancer, and they went to Sloan Kettering, and they're totally fine now, and you need to go to Sloan Kettering.
Oh my God. And you need to eat mushrooms too, because like mushrooms cure cancer.
Yes. With essential oil. So I've never done cancer before, so what do I know? Right. So my husband goes online and he does an internet inquiry with Sloan. They called me the next day. They said, okay, we need your pathology report and we need all this stuff and scan it to us and we'll set up an appointment. I scanned it to them. They never called me. And you can't call them back because their numbers are blocked. Like it's a blocked. And I just kind of took that as like an omen. You know, a lot of people didn't have triple negative breast cancer. People I was coming across had breast cancer, but it wasn't triple negative. And finding out that triple negative is only like 10 to 15% of breast cancers. And it, you know, you either have the gene mutation, which I don't have the gene mutation for, or, you know, it's just, bad luck. And, I wanted to, I always want to learn about stuff. And so I wanted to learn everything I could about triple negative. I wanted to be ahead of this. Like, what should I be doing? What should I be eating? What is this disease, you know? And at one point I turned into this spokesperson for triple negatives, and I would like find women that had triple negative, and we would talk, and people that were like ahead of me on their journey. And so I'd ask them, and I remember I came across this one Instagram. Her name is Shar Smith, and she was shared on We Are Survivors, and it gave me hope. And I started to talk to this girl because her tumors were actually starting to shrink.
Awesome. Yeah.
So, I changed my handle, and everyone's like, what is talk is cheap? What does this mean? Well, actions speak louder than words. I'm sure everyone can't stand when someone says that they're going to do something, or, and it doesn't happen, or, what you do means more than what you say. I will never say I'm going to do something and not do it. So Talk is Cheap was taken, so I became Talk is Cheap XO.
XO. I love it.
But, my whole thing right now is if you do have this diagnosis, it's okay. It doesn't mean you're going to die from this. And there's a huge community of women out here, and we're all cheering each other on. This is what thrivers want to do.
Yes.
They want to connect. They want to get they want to be heard. They want to heal.
Yes.
Like, how can we help each other heal? I mean,
yeah, I love it. Kelly, you are a true rock star and such an inspiration. I loved every single second speaking with you on this podcast. So thank you so much for being a guest, laughing, being my cancer twin. I can't believe how much we have in common. And hopefully our paths will cross when we are down in Philly. So I hope to see you soon. Everyone, thank you so much for listening. And until next time, keep on thriving. All of the information on our podcast are provided to you from peer-to-peer resources. This is not a substitute for medical professional advice. Please contact your doctors and medical care team for that information. If you want to get more involved in our organization, you can follow us on so many social media outlets. Join our closed Facebook group or like our Facebook page. We are also starting to promote information on YouTube, so please check the links below, subscribe, like, ring the bell for all sorts of notifications. And if you haven't yet already, we would love to have you subscribe to our newsletter. So head on over to survivingbreastcancer.org and scroll to the bottom where you can subscribe. We are always putting out weekly newsletters with information, lots of great content, events, and all sorts of fun stuff. So welcome to the community. Glad you're here, and we'll chat next week. Bye.